Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pop Jedi. I'm, of course, Rob DiLauro, and with me, as always, is Miss Di Marie. Di, what's going on?
Hey guys, happy to be back.
And, of course, always, is Miss Sith Jade. Sith, what's going on?
Hi, guys. Happy to be here.
So this is episode 11 of Pop Jedi. We just want to thank you all for your continued love and support, as always. And please hit that like button for us, so we can get out to a larger audience. It would be greatly appreciated. And if you don't like the show, sorry. So we got a lot to talk about this week. A little more of a chock-full week as opposed to last week when it comes to news, which is always exciting for us because that's kind of our job.
Yeah.
But we're going to do Top Jedi, and we're actually going to do two reviews this week. One for 2021's Mortal Kombat, and then we're going to briefly talk about the series finale for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Excuse me, the Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Yep. So
we're going to start off with some Top Jedi news, and we're going to start with the trailer for Shang Chi that just dropped last week. Honestly, like for me, like it just feels really good to see something like this in the Marvel universe, because I'm really hoping that just like Black Panther, like it becomes the cultural phenomenon that it's that it deserves to be,
Yeah.
And I think this main actor playing Shang-Chi, I think he's just gonna blow up into the stratosphere and be a huge actor. So like everything about it just looks like I really wasn't expecting anything from this movie, because like I never really read Shang-Chi. I know when Marvel created it was during the Kung Fu heyday and stuff, and there were some questionable things, within the narrative. Like Fu Manchu, being the father can be a red flag. And even, kind of the Mandarin too can, kind of be seen as a stereotype. But I think what they're doing with the Mandarin is like really beautifully done. The fact that, this is a story about a kid who grew up in the criminal underworld who has to take on a responsibility, but kind of gets like this, I don't know, like sort of like this criminal, like underworld, like Rumspringa, where he gets to like, live his life for a certain amount of time, get to do whatever he wants to do, but then, comes back to the eventual position that he's meant to take on. And then, just like the choreography and the fantastical elements within the trailer. Yeah. I was really seriously pleasantly surprised by this. And it was really, it was adorable that they dropped it on his birthday too.
Yeah, that was very sweet.
What did you guys think of the trailer for Shang-Chi? Did it like make you excited for the, I mean, technically, it is part of the next phase of Marvel, which is completely different than what we're expecting. I mean, obviously, with Doctor Strange and all that, it does stay in the realm of the familiar, but with the Eternals and, films like this, obviously they're going a different way. In terms of storytelling. So were you happy with the trailer?
I was really excited when I watched it because I like that Marvel is bringing a lot more cultural diversity into the universe. I like how they're bringing in like martial arts choreography and bringing a new spin on what they can bring into Marvel. So I think it's going to be awesome.
I think so too.
Yeah, I agree. I loved it. I thought it looked really great. And I didn't really know like a whole lot about, that before this. So I'm excited to learn about it and see what direction they're going to go.
All right, Sith, what's next in Top Jedi?
So we're going to continue on the Marvel train, keep trucking along with it. So the producers of Thor: Love and Thunder were trying to keep this under wraps, but unfortunately we had a Melina happen, and Russell Crowe decided that he was going to spill the beans about everything. I'm absolutely going to coin that term from now on.
Yeah.
But he said that he was going to be making a cameo appearance, but it is now revealed that he will be playing Zeus. Which I'm very excited to see him do that. He always plays such big roles, so he's gonna knock it out of the park, no problem, obviously. But then we also have Christian Bale, which I'm excited to see him as well. He's playing a villain role in that. And then we have Matt Damon returning as well. So it's a very, very hot pot of like all these really amazing actors.
So Matt Damon's playing the actor version or the fake Loki.
Yeah, he's coming back for his cameo, which I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
It's super funny, yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that he's coming back to do that. So we're going to be seeing that releasing in May of 2022. We don't have an official set date that it's going to be releasing, but yeah, Russell Crowe didn't give that away. He just let everything else go.
Well, let's talk about that for a second because like I mean, these people are like literally under lock and key when it comes to roles or any stories. Like they're fortunate if they even know any of the story,
right?
Like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes they don't even get like some of the storyline until they actually get on the set that particular day.
Yeah.
So a lot of these people are like very understanding of how Marvel and all these companies work, and now that you're having more seasoned actors step into this realm, they don't understand anything about spoilers or or anything like that. You know what I mean? Or they just simply don't care.
I think it's more that they don't care. I think it's like they're like, I am who I am, and I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm just gonna let you guys know what's happening.
But what's really cool about this is like, this is another Jack Kirby creation. Like King Kirby created Zeus like decades ago. So we could be getting into some really interesting territory. Like stuff that obviously like like kind of intersects with like something like the Eternals or something like, you know what I mean? They're really playing in the classic sandbox when it comes to these new films. Diana, what's next in Top Jedi?
So the Conjuring trailer for The Devil Made Me Do It dropped a few days ago. If you guys haven't seen it, it looks pretty spooky. This movie is actually going to be based on a real case that happened in 1981 based on Arnie Johnson. So this is the first U.S. case that used possession as an alibi to try pleading innocent. So all of the original actors are going to be there. We're going to see the Warrens come back to help investigate the case, and it looks really creepy. They also have the little boy that was actually a part of the case named David Glatzel, and he was supposedly the demon host that was influencing Arnie to commit these murders. So I don't know. It looks really good. I love the Conjuring series, so I think that
it's one of my favorites for sure.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it because when it comes to the Warrens, obviously there's
a lot of discrepancies with what actually happened.
Yeah, there's a lot of discrepancies, and like a lot of people call them con artists and stuff, but I'll tell you what, it was during the time of The Conjuring 2, and I actually contacted the Elaine Warren for an interview, and she actually got back to me, and even though it was like a rejection, it was just amazing that like
she contacted you.
Got that far. Yeah.
She was just said, my dear, I am, 90 some years old, and I don't do these types of things anymore. And it was like Love and Light, Elaine Warren. And I was
That's
just like,
still
whoa.
Amazing.
But when it comes to like the actual cinematic versions of these people, they really are kind of like the cinematic Avengers, especially in this genre. Like, they are, one of the most beloved, duos like in horror in a very, very long time.
Yeah.
So every movie with them feels like an event. And, like this probably more so than a lot of them because, it's a different director kind of attached to it. And it feels to me like he's actually going darker with it.
I
as
hope
opposed
so.
to,
I do too.
What did you think about that trailer, Sith?
I loved it. I mean, I love these movies. I don't get scared super easily. Like I can watch like gore and stuff like that, but stuff to do with the paranormal and stuff like that, it really, possessions, like it gets to me in a different way because this is, the thing is like, if you haven't experienced a paranormal event, you just, you can't relate, you can't relate to it. Yeah. It's a very personal thing and it's different for each individual person. So I love it. I think it's a really great concept, the direction that they're going. So,
yeah, honestly though, I really don't think that story works if, like those two, just like Jeffrey Dean Morgan with Negan, or, Tony Stark, with, or, Robert Downey Jr. with Tony Stark, or, whatever. These two have been doing this for years and they know exactly what to do with these characters. They embody them, and they're just so electric on the screen because, you know, like, I mean, they're freaking iconic. I mean, there's really no other way to put it.
And the chemistry is perfect. Yeah.
Oh yeah, their chemistry is you can't beat that. You can't make that up. Like it's 100% real.
Yeah. So I've been waiting for The Devil Made Me Do It for quite a while. And
ever since they first announced it, like, was it a year ago?
Yeah, it was that
It was
actually.
a while. Yeah.
To kind of dovetail off of that, though, they just made an announcement yesterday that DC is doing a short run, which is a precursor to The Devil Made Me Do It, called The Lover. And it's actually going to focus on like the actual backstory, you know, leading into this particular film. So that's kind of cool too.
Yeah.
Not to mention that DC, you know, even though they've put some, you know, horror stuff out there, they finally like announced their horror label. It's DC Horror, and this is going to be the first, you know, thing out of that think tank, you know, when it comes to terror in the DC universe, which I'm excited about too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So next in Top Jedi, we actually have some news that I'm really excited about because I'm a major, major fan of George Miller and the World of the Wasteland. Mad Max Fury Road is, like, you know, definitely in my top 10. And, you know, ever since I was, you know, when I was a little kid, you know, when people were, you know, like, obviously, like, I was in love with Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and stuff. But when I first saw Mel Gibson walk up with that leather jacket and the dog and the, you know, I was just like, this is my hero. You know what I mean? Like, I've been in love with those movies ever since. But we're actually getting a prequel story for Furiosa, which is the character that was just beautifully introduced by Charlize Theron. And it's called Furiosa. And they actually just did a press conference in I believe it was Australia a couple days ago with Chris Hemsworth, which is, you know, obviously one of the cast members of the movie. And they were saying they were going to start filming in the Australian outback next year for a 2023 release, which is amazing, you know, that we're even getting another Mad Max film.
I know.
It's, you know, because listen, George Miller, you know, he, you know, was originally a doctor before he was a director. So he probably, you know, obviously knows how to take care of himself. But this guy's pushing, like, you know, he's well over 70. You know, and if you remember, like, the action and stuff from Fury Road, I mean, like,
it's intense.
And it's like, you know, just really gritty, violent Cirque du Soleil. And this guy, like, you know, that's in his 70s is like filming some of this stuff that, you know, really honestly puts a lot of young action directors to shame. You know?
Yeah.
But the thing that really excites me about it, you know, obviously it is a prequel story, so they have to have a younger actor, but it's going to be Anya Taylor-Joy, who I've been in love with since The Witch. You know, of course, you know, she was, you know, obviously in other films, but, you know, she became really cherished by people because of The Queen's Gambit on Netflix, which was a fantastic miniseries. I love that too.
So good, yeah. Yeah, if you haven't watched that, please. That's really, really highly recommended.
Yeah, so she's going to be playing Furiosa. So, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about the Mad Max films, but I'm a huge fan of them. So I'm totally excited for this.
I'll say I'm not like a super fan about them, but I do enjoy them. They're very watchable movies. Like if you like a lot of like hard, quick action, like that is absolutely the series to watch. And just I love the Outlander kind of feel to it. Like I've always loved like apocalyptic theme.
Yes.
Things, so.
Yeah, and the other thing that's really amazing about George Miller is that, you know, he kind of is like, well, not kind of, but he sort of is like the Australian George Lucas in a way, because this dude has a story for every single character, like even the one in the furthest background.
Yeah.
You know, he just knows this world like the back of his hand. So this is going to be amazing. This is going to be absolutely amazing. So it comes out in 2023. So you got some time. Maybe we'll be in Mad Max time by then.
Yeah. Be watching it and living it.
Right. Finding it on some like real projector, like,
oh my gosh,
some burnout hut.
Just watching it. Oh my gosh. Stories for tell our grandchildren.
Right, like an actual like a fable or something. What's next in Top Jedi?
So next in Top Jedi is something that I'm extremely excited about. I am a huge Batman fan, and we are getting the return of the infamous Michael Keaton. He is putting on the cape once more. So happy. And he's joining Ben Affleck as well. So we're going to have 2 alternate universe Batman existing in one movie, which I've been waiting for something like that to happen. I didn't think we were going to get it this soon, though. I'm very excited. Yeah. Rob is even more so a Batman fan
I
than I
get a
am.
little misty here because you know, those comic book fans out there that grew up in the summer of '89, you remember that, like, you know, like one of your best concerts. That year was incredible because, you know, like if you were a Batman fan initially, like you never felt that fever the way you did in '89. You know what I mean? Where you know, people were literally getting, you know, like bat symbols like carved into their heads and stuff. I mean, it was everywhere. And Michael Keaton, what I do recall about Michael Keaton is that, you know, even before there was an internet, that like even as a young person that was really interested in film and, you know, followed it and stuff, like I knew that people hated the fact that he was going to be Batman. Like, oh, Mr. Mom's going to be Batman? What the hell? You know, they were really angry.
Yeah, my dad was the one who told me, they're like, oh, I'm a fan of him and I love that he's going to play Batman, but everyone else is incredibly angry right now.
So when you know, so when you saw him, you know, like you were just blown away. It was just like, it was just one of the most epic things, you know, like as a kid that you can remember. I don't remember any film bigger than that, to be honest with you.
Around that
it was
time,
huge.
Absolutely.
It was huge. And, you know, everybody was like listening to Prince and like, dude, it was like a worldwide celebration. So,
back in the good old days.
You know, so then, you know, like I love Batman Returns. I love it. I think it's amazing. And it doesn't really get the credit that it deserves.
Absolutely not.
But you know, after that, Michael Keaton, you know, like he just didn't want to do it anymore. So, you know, like the fact that we're living in a world now where, you know, Michael Keaton's, you know, he's older, but he looks fantastic. He's going to look fantastic in this cowl and cape, man. You know, like it's going to look like there's not a day that went by. Maybe his hairline's a little bit different. That's it.
Yeah. But other than that,
you can fix that.
Yeah. It's going to be Batman. Oh my gosh. It's going to be so good.
It's just amazing. It's just amazing. You know, and if they ever drop like, you know, even if I see it behind the scenes, like, you know, like somebody's like, you know, sneaking around, like, you know, some, you know, paparazzo or something, like taking pictures. I mean, I even get a blip of him in the Batman suit. I'm gonna die.
Yeah, I'm waiting for those leaks to happen because you know they're gonna happen.
I'm gonna die.
We'll revive you. We'll bring you back. It's okay.
I'm so excited about Michael Keaton doing this. What's next in Top Jedi?
So Miss Elizabeth Olsen did an interview with Glamour magazine. So we still don't know a lot about what's going to be going on with the next Doctor Strange, but she made comments that's going to be a bonkers movie and that Marvel's going for a horror vibe in this film, which I'm very excited about because we have the Darkhold, the Hell Dimension that's been brought up. So,
well, here's the other thing. Well, it was a story that we didn't, you know, choose, but this is a huge thing. That, you know, Netflix has a deal with FX and Sony to, you know, once after they drop on Netflix, all the Spider-Man titles go to Disney Plus.
Yep.
That's a huge thing because here's what could happen. Once you're doing that, and if they actually have the great relationship that we're thinking they have, you know, because money talks, let's be fair.
Yeah.
Right.
But, you know, this means that you can bring, you know, all these different things into the fold, like Morbius, or you know what I mean, or like Blade. You know what I mean? Like obviously that we're still coming, but you just have more room and opportunity because like now all the Sony characters can also be part of this thing too. You know, so I think, you know, I'm still going with my theory here, even though we've got like Shang Chi and all these different movies, which probably in some way connect to Doctor Strange anyway, because you know there is very much an Eastern vibe, you know, when it comes to that comes to that, his own world, of magic or whatever. But I think he's still going to be the Tony Stark of magic. I think that's the intent with him.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the goatee, so he's already halfway there with the goatee.
And I honestly don't think he's going to fight. I mean, they're probably going to have some sort of magic, like throwing stuff at each other.
Something.
But I don't think, I still don't think that he's going to, go after Wanda. I don't think she's the scapegoat that he's meant to just try to destroy. You know what I mean?
I think it's going to be more like a mentoring
that's
situation.
What I think too.
Yeah, I really hope that they go that direction, because I don't want to see them as opposing forces. I feel like I actually don't know who would win in that situation. Like, I know he has more experience
Wanda.
and more time under his belt, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty
sure
that she would win.
Yeah, Wanda would win, because if you remember in that episode of WandaVision, Agatha says, you are even stronger than the Sorcerer Supreme now. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I really honestly think that he's going to help her find her kids in whatever whatever vortex they're in. You know what I mean? Or whatever kind of multiverse they're in. Obviously, because it's going to play into multiverse stuff. But I wish that was tomorrow.
I do too. I know. I hate waiting. I'm not a patient person. Not when it comes to my Marvel. I want it now.
So in other Top Jedi news, we got some other casting news, and I'm really excited about this because, as we mentioned before with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or any Marvel property, like a lot of these really seasoned people are wanting to, come play because they know how immense and just what a juggernaut, Marvel is as a whole. So that trend still continues with Emilia Clarke, of course, Daenerys from Game of Thrones, and Olivia Colman, who's like a bona fide Academy Award winner. She was actually nominated, this time around as well. Their firepower just gets just more immense, each time there's an announcement. Yeah. And what's really cool about this is that, these people can be anybody, we're talking about scrolls, you know what I mean? So, it's just going to be it's going to be interesting. Like, I remember reading Secret Wars and Secret Invasion, stuff like that. And, you can have a lot of fun with that type of thing. And, just a little side note, I hope Sharon Carter's a scroll, because this ain't my Sharon Carter. We'll get into that later.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
But,
we have some opinions.
Yeah, we got some opinions about that.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, Emilia Clarke, I just hope she gets something prominent, not like Politician, 2 or something like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like something, she's Emilia Clarke, dude.
She deserves a hefty role.
But that's exciting. We're not going to see Secret Invasion for quite some time. So, it's all conjecture from here, but
something to think about.
Those are two really exciting castings for that. There, it just shows you that these Marvel Disney Plus shows are just going to get bigger and bigger each time. It's incredible. So now we're going to get into some comic book news. One of them, I think actually excites me a little bit more than the other. I was a kid that grew up with Masters of the Universe and stuff, obviously. I'm excited to see, what they have, in store, for this particular, new animation or whatnot. Yeah. But I was never a huge, Masters fan, until when I was a kid, when I was 6 years old, I loved Masters of the Universe. But when I was an adult, it was just not something that really kind of went with me. If that makes sense. Yeah. But of course, we have another Aliens announcement as well when it comes to Marvel. And this one, sounds really awesome. And I'm really, interested to see what they're going to do with this particular thing. Di, what's next to Top Jedi?
So to pony on what you just said, for the 35th anniversary of Aliens, Marvel is going to release a one-shot comic called Aliens Aftermath #1. So the events in this story are going to take place basically directly after the first Aliens movie. Mm-hmm. So a group of journalists are going to go back to LV-426, the moon planet where Hadley's Hope was based on, and they're going to look into the events to see what exactly happened. And it looks like it's going to be a pretty violent story. And this is going to be released on July 14th.
Yeah, this is really exciting because I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was a director's cut of the Aliens.
Yes.
Where you do get some of the Hadley's Hope stuff.
Yeah.
With Newt and her parents and all that stuff. And I still, for the life of me, can't understand why they didn't put that in the film. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
I thought that would have been like such a great little extra juicy piece to just add in there.
Oh yeah. So it seems like this one's going to be more. It seems more of like an investigation to me. Into the actual happenings of what went on or whatever, right? So it's actually like it's something that's being I would guess maybe some reporters that work for Weyland-Yutani or something like that, like just kind of investigating this whole thing. That's cool, because I mean, just that LV-426 is just first of all, that's like one of the most iconic planets you can possibly think of. There's actually an there's an LV-426 day, promotional day for aliens. You know what I mean? So I think this is going to be really exciting for a lot of people, and we actually still have that property that we can mess with, unlike Predator. So
I'm happy that we at least got to keep this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're getting an aliens show. I don't know if you guys remember that announcement from the Disney. So they're doing a aliens show for FX, I think it is.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I remember being a little kid. That was one of the first horror films that I watched, and I've loved it ever since. So I'm so excited for this story.
With that, we've got some more comic news. Sith, what's going on in Top Jedi this week?
Yeah, so Kevin Smith, I love him very, very much. I watch everything that he does. I pay attention to everything very religiously. Like I said earlier, I was not allowed to watch anything as a kid. So this area here is a little bit unknown to me, but I'm very excited to be brought into the Masters of the Universe and see where he goes with this 4-volume release that he's going to be doing. So those will start shipping out July 7th of 2021. And then it takes place in between the original 1983. So it's like a continuation, and then it'll kind of fill in the gaps there up until we start the Netflix series. So I'm very excited to see what he does with this.
Next, we're going to actually do our review portion of the show. Like I said, we've got a double for this week. Probably focusing on a bit more of the other one as opposed to the other one. I will say this, though, as a personal disclaimer. When we talk about anything on the show, when it comes to any genre, any fandom or whatever, even if we're not into it, like you guys, if you're like, if you're rocking Castle Grayskull at your house, dude, you're awesome. Like, keep doing it. You know what I mean? Like, we're not knocking Masters of the Universe because we don't know anything about it. And we're also not knocking anybody for their fandom if we have something negative to say, something, that didn't really settle with us or whatever. Because, these reviews are going to be honest. We're not paid by any of these companies. And, if they deserve to have, a real critical moment in terms of their storytelling, then obviously we should focus on it. So with that said, I'm not going to be too kind about some of these things. So Die and Sith might be a little kinder, but I do have a few issues with quite a few things. I thought it was a very effective series finale. But it felt to me like that penultimate episode was much more intense and everything than the series finale. And the other problem that I had with the series finale was it just seemed like, we're watching this story, and I understand it's only 6 parts, but we had a lot of breathing room when it came to what was going on. And then all of a sudden, this thing was just like flying like Captain America himself, man. like Mackie in the suit. This story just flew by, all puns intended. It was so quick, and it didn't really resolve too much of anything for me when it comes to, the Flag Smashers. And honestly, even when it comes to when he was having the conversation with the politicians, what is it, GRC or whatever it is? It was like the No Borders thing. I don't know. I even I thought that speech, even though I'm not saying it wasn't expected or it wasn't accepted by me, You know, because, you know, Superman and all these guys are all about like truth, justice, and the American way, ma'am, you know, this and that. I just thought his conversation with those politicians was a little heavy-handed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, he kept going back. He kept circling back to things over and over. Like he would say it and then he would say it again. And it's like he the way he said it when he said it the first time around, when he laid out all the points and he was like, okay, you guys need to change this. He said it so well, and he was very eloquent about it. I don't feel like he needed to keep repeating himself. I felt like he could have just said it concisely and then moved on.
Well, I think no, it wasn't even just that. It was just the point of, you know, it just felt like it was kind of implanted in, you know, simply, you know, because it's like, okay, well, if you didn't understand that Sam wasn't the right choice for this shield, you know, we're going to put his hands on his hips like this, and like he's going to, you know, recite a mantra just like Steve would. I get that, dude. We already knew that he was a good guy. You know what I mean? You know, and also, I really don't understand why John Walker would like change his tune about like everything. Yeah. Like he's gonna work with these two. You guys just beat the hell out of each other, almost killed each other. And you know, like, you know, you're all of a sudden out of the clear blue sky gonna like, you know, you're gonna be wisecracking with Bucky, and like
I'm surprised Bucky bantered back with him and didn't do the Bucky stare like that. Are you really talking to me right now? Like, don't try to make light with me.
Yeah, it just didn't make any sense to me that he would do that. And you know, like, you know, just the fact that, you know, like, you know, Wyatt Russell was, you know, like really portrayed as, you know, a guy that, you know, was obviously the exact opposite of who Steve Rogers was, and fans hated him for it. And I think that, you know, like, I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to you know, get you back on his side a little bit. You know what I mean? This guy isn't, you know, like all that bad. You know what I mean? He has the potential to be a hero and all this other stuff, but it just like I said, heavy-handed is going to be a huge word here, because like, it just doesn't make any sense to me that he would do something like that at all. And, you know, like I said, you know, would you guys know who U.S. Agent was if we weren't talking about him on the show? No, absolutely not, dude. There is absolutely no exposition, you know, whatsoever in a lot of these stories. And like, you know, if you're not a fan of this stuff initially, then you're just going to get lost in the sauce. You know what I mean? Or just kind of have to make your own conclusion, or, you know, like turn around to your other person and be like, you know, who's U.S. Agent? Explain it to me. Yeah. There was no like real rhyme or reason to any of this stuff. And, you know, like Sharon Carter is the worst offense of this whole thing for me. It makes no sense. There's no rhyme or reason to why she would be the way she is now.
Yeah.
To be the power broker. Oh, by the way, spoilers, guys, if you guys haven't seen the show. Yeah. We're going to be spoiling this, and also Mortal Kombat, so just keep that in mind.
Yep.
Yeah, that whole thing doesn't sit well with me either. It makes absolutely no sense she would go that route. I don't, you know, I don't know what to think of it. There's really nothing to think about. It was just literally, she was like dropped in, you know, like when it comes to Madripoor, and then it's like, okay, so she's like an art dealer now, and she does like, you know, stuff in the criminal underworld. Okay.
Like, how did we get there?
Yeah. All right, cool. I'll go with that, I guess. And no, but she's also, you know, pretty much in charge of like, you know, certain parts of the world when it comes to like, you know, weaponry and, you know, like government information and all this other stuff. All right. Like, all right. Okay. I'll go with this. And that's all you have to do is go with it, because there's really nothing to there's no A to Z at all. It's like, it was so thatched together. And honestly, I think it was because when they were working on this, I guess there was a viral through line, you know, through this whole thing. So they actually cut a lot of it out when it comes to, you know, not even just the actual like finished product. Like they cut it out in the, you know, the script portion of filming and stuff. Right. So, you know, like, I don't know if anything's been filmed. Like, I don't know if there's like a release the Falcon cut or whatever. Like we did get
like extra stuff.
Yes. Zemo.
We did get the Zemo cut.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, it just seemed like a lot of it wasn't really explained to people. If I wasn't a fan of this stuff, I'd have no idea what was going on.
Right.
And it all kind of seemed like it all, like it was just all in like a neat little bow, like too much for me, I think. First of all, like, when he's talking to the old man, like, we just see him walk out the door, like there's no like real resolution there. There's like a real beautiful moment where, Sebastian Stan starts crying and, the guy kind of goes, what?
And then that's it.
Oh, that's it. Like, there's no resolution. There's no like, I curse your family, or no, I forgive
dishonor
you and
on
I
you,
love you.
dishonor on your cow. Nothing.
There's nothing. And also, all right, well, let's talk about the positives. The suit's awesome. I love how he looks. I love the comic book style of it. Yeah. And I do love. I mean, obviously, when it comes to series, I love what Daniel Bruhl did with Zemo. Really, really, like, fleshed out that character.
Yeah.
And, even though he's spectacular, in that role when it came to Civil War, like, he really made this his own now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Where he's like, like, he's a super villain, no question.
Yeah.
When you have your old butler blowing up super soldiers, you got some, and I love that.
I knew he wasn't done. I was like, there's no way he just let that go.
Oh, totally. I love that aspect of it. That he is technically a mix between being evil Bruce Wayne and like Hannibal Lecter. Like, even caged up, he's getting stuff done.
Oh yeah.
And like, the Isaiah Bradley stuff was beautiful from beginning to end.
Oh yes.
It was one of the best moments, and obviously I cried like a baby when that happened. Yeah. But again, would he really be like seriously okay with that? You know what I mean? Like, for decades he thought, like, if I stick my head out my door, I'm I'm a goner.
That's what worried me about it. Yeah, the whole entire time when he was talking to him in the backyard, like leading up to him showing him in the museum, I was like, something's gonna happen. Like a missile's gonna come in. Like he's gonna get whacked.
No, like, so can we get like 5 minutes of like during this speech that Sam is giving, like, oh, come here, Senator, I got something else to talk to you about, and like, walk him out. Like, give us some idea that he actually had a real conversation with the government, where the government was like, no, that's wrong. It's totally wrong. I
want to see that struggle, because there had to be a big old struggle to get that to happen.
Right. There's just really no exposition when it came to this episode. It just seemed like it was all kind of slapdash, and it just happened. But like, there was just an announcement that they're going to do a Captain America 4. Obviously, that's going to be with Mackie. Playing Captain, playing Captain America now, which is awesome. So I just really hope that, they have confidence enough in their story to really, fix these loose ends because it needs to get done. There's a lot of them. Like, Bucky was actually, like, he was government sanctioned to see this therapist. What, he could just now walk away?
That bothered me. That bothered me, because you're not allowed to do that. They're very, very serious when you get like registered to do that kind of thing. Like, you cannot just leave. You don't get to just say, oh, I'm healthy now, it's okay. They're like, no, come back into the room and sit on the couch. Like, you can't just get up and walk.
No, this is like, this is like parole, dude. Like, you can't just.
You still have 6 months of this. I'm gonna need you to make an appointment now. Don't walk away.
Right. So the first police car they see in like New Orleans. Boo! Sorry, Mr. Barnes.
You missed like 5 therapy appointments.
Yeah. You missed like 5 months of therapy appointments, dude. You can't just write in a book and then just give it to your therapist. It's not part of the deal.
Yeah, no.
Or maybe they pardoned him, but you know what? We wouldn't know because they didn't show us.
They didn't tell us. Yeah.
Anyway, like I said, I enjoyed it. I was just, I don't know. I'm very critical when it comes to narration. when it comes to like, weaving a story and actually like, making it compelling enough and informational enough where people feel like they're not going to be lost and they're not going to be, they're not going to have to like do a bunch of research. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like these are all origin stories, right? My question is, what's Loki going to become? Because if Sam Wilson's now Captain America, WandaVision's now Scarlet Witch, like what is Loki?
Yeah, what are they doing with Loki?
What is going to be the birth of of that particular character? Because that's what it seems like this is. It seems like this is the metamorphosis of their characters. To obviously, put it into the fold of, feature films, you know what I mean? And nobody bats an eyelash because everybody watched these shows. So, I don't know. What were your thoughts on it?
I mean, I really liked it. I did like what they did, but like I had some issues with it. Like you, a lot of what you're saying, I agree with you. The only thing that I will say I really, really wanted to see more of is US Agent. I wanted more backstory. I wanted a little bit more of him and Baroness Hydra. Like I wanted a little more explanation there. Like it was just one like handshake in a room and it's like, you're US Agent now, your suit's different, here we go.
Oh, and no, dude, that's another thing. Who the hell is she? Like, seriously.
Yeah. I'm assuming that's who she is, but I don't know. And she still hasn't said, and now we're just done with it. So
I might have had something to do with it, or maybe I didn't. Or did I? Or didn't I? Or like,
that's how what I mean? Like that's it. Like, did you or didn't you? Can we know?
Who are you? First of all, let's start off with that.
Yeah.
It's you're right. Like it just seems like you said, there's not a lot of information to go off of.
It felt like they tried to take a lot of really like heavy things and jam it all into one episode. I would have liked to see, like, I'm fine with the way that things were resolved and like how they ended up. I thought they were still good, but I wish they would have maybe like metered it out a little bit over like maybe the last 2 episodes, something like that. So that way it was a little bit more broken up, a little bit more streamlined, not so much here is all of this stuff all at once for you to digest and try to compartmentalize, figure out.
What did you think of the reveal? Were you happy about the suit and everything?
I was happy about the suit. My only issue is that it looked a little bit bulky and a little bit clunky.
We're totally in agreement.
He's a big guy. He doesn't need a bunch of padding and layers of cloth and stuff. Like it just felt like they put too much on top of him. It looked like he was carrying the suit and not wearing it. And I have cosplay friends that have done this suit that it just looks seamless and tight. And it looks really, really streamlined and good. And I wish they would have gone that direction. It just looks like the Michelin Man. Having the shield in between the wings, though, when he slapped it on there and he takes off, that made me very, very happy. That was beautiful. The new revamp with the wings and the shield was great.
Right. So even the shield itself, like it made sense that Bucky was okay with this because we took that journey. You know what I mean? It was not but like all of a sudden, like John Walker's just going to be like, oh, I guess he is the guy then.
That was the one thing that I had a main issue with is Bucky is not just going to go, yeah, bro, let's start just spitting, lines back at each other. That's not how Bucky is as a person.
Oh, dude, if he was at that barbecue, I would have been annoyed.
Yeah, no.
Like, what is this, the Falcon Yub Nub moment? What the hell is going on?
They were too familiar, and he was very passionate about how he felt about these issues, and then all of a sudden it was like snap of the fingers. It was just poof.
What did you think about the whole Isaiah Bradley arc? Did you feel they were effective in that?
I was scared for him the entire time they were leading up to that. I was worried that he was going to get offed, that he wasn't going to be safe, that something was going to happen. And also, I understand that he came to terms with what Sam was trying to say, that I understand that this isn't something that you were able to stomach and you were able to do and you wanted to move forward with, but I'm going to. But he's a stubborn old man. You can't tell me that he's all of a sudden just okay with having himself at this big memorial out in the public, and are we saying that he's dead and this is a memorial to him still dead? Or are we saying that he's now going to come out into the world and be like, hey, this was me, this was my story? They didn't say that either. Mm-hmm. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's almost like Sam just kind of made the decision for him.
Yes,
You know?
and that's how I felt. I felt like Sam took the reins, which I like that he was trying to do something nice for Isaiah, but I feel like that's something you should check with somebody that was very strong about, please don't put me out there. Please don't let people know about me. So
yeah, I mean, obviously, it was beautiful how it turned out. You know, like that he was
yes.
actually very, you know, he was excited about it. He was happy
Yeah.
about it.
I'm happy that he was happy about it in the end, but I just feel like there should have been a little briefing beforehand, a little heart to heart
Just
again
something, you know,
at that
like,
table.
hey man,
You know,
you've been hiding in the shadows for like a couple decades now. Rightfully so. You know, like have a really horrible, you know, like distaste for white people. But I'm just gonna put you out there and you know into the ether of this world. You know what I mean? Like and see where it sticks. You
see
know,
what
where's
happens.
it gonna turn out?
Yeah, so that was a little bit confusing, but I did like that he got that closure and that he got the very much deserved, you know, respect and showcase, so that people don't forget who he is and what he sacrificed. It was really beautiful.
What are your thoughts on the series finale, Diana? Did you enjoy it? Were you like us, where you had you know a few gripes about it?
In the beginning I wasn't very into Falcon. I might be kind of outside of the group here, but I wasn't really big on the show, to be honest. I do appreciate that Marvel is giving these side characters their own stories, but it just seemed like the finale was so rushed because the episode before this, it was such a perfect build up, and then everything was just kind of thrown at you. And I don't know. I just didn't really know what to think. I liked how they ended with Isaiah, but yeah.
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing about the whole thing, and number one, I 100% agree with you in the fact of when we were initially talking about the show, I wasn't really, you know, interested in it too much. But I was really interested in the idea of, you know, them, you know, taking on some mature subject matter the way they did.
Yeah.
And you know, honestly, like, you know, even that in the last episode, like all that stuff kind of felt like it kind of fell to the wayside as well. You know what I mean? You know, I love the idea of Anthony Mackie in that role. You know, but like I'm saying, you know, I'm just being real here. I can see how a lot of fans would be a hard transition for them. It's going to be. So here's my other question for you guys. Do you really think that, because I personally think that somewhere Captain America is literally up in space with Nick Fury, and that's why everybody thinks he's on the moon.
I think he might actually be. I would 100% believe that they're just up there, just
chilling,
just waiting. Yeah. I honestly think that's a possibility, a very funny possibility, but yeah.
That's another thing. You know, if that theory's wrong, where the hell did he go? Is he dead?
Yeah. Did he just up and disappear?
Is he dead? Did he like tell like Sam, like, you know, I'm going off to some remote cabin somewhere and like, you know, just living out the rest of my days? Like what? Where is he? That was never ever addressed. The next review we're going to talk about is Mortal Kombat. Now, I was never a fan of the lore. I remember growing up with it as a kid. And I'm you know, like I love the game, obviously, you know, like I remember the commercials, I remember the hype around it. It was kind of huge, you know, like I remember that. Especially when it got implanted in like you know, like your local skating rink or whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like, and you just like drop coins in that thing and just, oh, it was so awesome. Like, you know, it's a great game. Problem with great games is that these things go on for years. I think we're at like Mortal Kombat, like what is it, 11X or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, we're up there.
They're up there, and with a lot of time comes a lot of lore. And man, I don't know if you ever looked into Mortal Kombat lore in Wikipedia. Man, it is reams and reams and reams of stuff.
Yeah, it's very intense, very in depth. You cannot just sit down and be like, I'm just going to learn about Mortal Kombat before I watch the newest movie. No, that's not what's going to happen.
It's reams of stuff. I mean, like, you know, like everybody has like a family tree, and like it's like crazy.
They went ham with it.
And I was also, you know, like I still am. I think, you know, like honestly, that's maybe where some of my bias comes from. Like I'm a huge 95 fan. Yeah, Christopher Lambert's Raiden makes sense to me. I don't know.
Yeah. It's so funny.
But you know, this Mortal Kombat, I'm elated that people love it. Like, I'm glad it exists. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm totally excited for them. I was not a fan of this movie. I was not a fan of this movie, and I felt like I don't know, like even the stuff that you know, like, needed to be there because everybody's familiar with fatalities and the violence and the blood and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It all feels shoehorned in, just for the sake of being able to do it. Like, yeah, let's be edgy and, like, you know, rip off arms and stuff. And I gotta be really honest with you. I remember Louis Tan, that actor, from a couple things. But you know, I mean, like, the best way I could put it is, like, you got to think of it like, you know, like, think of me like talking like comic book guy from The Simpsons or something. Be like, well, Louis Tan's Arcana should have been a different material because he was wooden.
Yeah.
What a wooden character, man. There was nothing compelling about this dude at all. And honestly, if I was, like, playing, you know, like, a game of Mortal Kombat, and like as a kid, and all my friends were like, I'm gonna be Sub-Zero, I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna be that, and I'd be like, I guess I'll be Cole.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty much how I feel about this guy. And you know, like, it's horrible because, like, dude, that first 10 minutes is spectacular.
Yes.
So good.
So good. Just, you know, like, you know, that fight between those two, you know, that lasted for, you know, for all those centuries, that, like, all makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was beautifully done. All the fight choreography, all of it, like, you know, the you know, just the actual, like, location, the locale, the set design, everything was wonderful.
Beautiful.
And if we, like, had a story about the history of Sub-Zero and Scorpion,
yeah,
then all right, you know,
I'd be, like, on board for that.
Anchors
100%.
away, man. But instead we got this, like, really just chopped together, you know, like, we're all cursing because we can.
Yeah, I felt like they were just doing it as much as they could. Like, before their parents came back in the room, they were just like, we're just gonna nail it in there as many times.
I just have questions, you know, like, you know, where does Outworld get egg rolls? Like, is there a Grubhub portal?
I
like,
know, they just
are they just eating it because they're Asian? Like, slap my head on that one. What is the Black Dragon? What is it?
Yeah.
Is it some sort of organization? Is it, like, you know, a leather jacketed gang that Kano was part of in high school? Like, what the hell is the Black Dragon? How are we supposed to know this stuff?
It's just speaking on behalf of people that didn't grow up playing the video games, I appreciated that. Trying to look through the reams and reams of Wikipedia pages, I can tell that they used a lot of, like, the costumes and the fighting moves from the games and backstories and things like that. That was cool, but there was so much in this movie that if you don't know a lot of those things, you're going to get lost really fast.
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, like, you know, like all these, like, cuts were just so weird, man. And the thing that really bothered me with the cuts was that, like, you know, you have these two, like, you know, really competitive actors that have done, you know, like, these amazing fighting movies, like The Raid and, you know, like, all this stuff. And, like, you know, you're just going to cut all this stuff together, like, you know, real slapdash because, like they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, it was very PC, and it seeed like it jumped around too much. I was like, you could literally just do a wide angle film of them just going all over the place, just going at it. And it would have been beautiful.
So the whole time you're just following Cole, and I really just don't care.
Where was the tournament?
I really just don't care. Cole is not the journeyman I want to take the ride with. Like, honestly, like, you know, he was
lackluster. He really was. And I wanted him to be amazing and, like, really compelling. I wanted that for him, but they didn't do that. He was a little bit boring.
Yeah, totally,
I felt bad.
And let's be honest. Okay, well, first of all, like, you know, what the hell is Arcana? Like, you know, can we get like kind of an idea? Oh, it's just something that, you know, like, just pops up. You know, like, all of a sudden you've got, like, a laser eye and you've got, like, a this and that. Like, I don't remember that. Is that part of the lore? Like, am I supposed to know that?
I don't know.
You just assume it's your inner power, I guess.
Everybody's
That's what I took
got
from
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like you got Prince Goro, which, listen, you want to talk about Mark Hamill being Uncanny Valley? This Goro looked terrible, like really terrible. Like that puppet from '95 had more, more panache
More
than that
substance.
damn thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
They just kind of got thrown in there, and it's like, okay.
Cool. Yeah, the one thing that I really loved about this movie was Sub-Zero, and yes. That dude, he's already signed on for 4 more movies, so obviously they've got some sort of plans for him.
Yeah.
He was just spectacular as Sub-Zero, no question. Was a formidable foe. He was, there was a threat there.
Very intimidating.
You know what I mean? And even without saying a word, he really
made his presence known.
His presence known, and he has a story behind him. So that was really, really effective for me. Everything else, not at all. I did not have a fun time watching this.
I loved Melina's character. I wish that we got to see more of her because Sith and we have some thoughts about what happened with her, but I thought she was a badass. Her makeup was awesome. I loved her teeth. She looked vicious, but there's just so much that they could have done with her.
Yeah, I wish they did more. I feel like she was killed off way too quickly. There wasn't a huge struggle, and the thing is, she's supposed to be one of the top big bads. So it's supposed to be some kind of back and forth, not just we're done with her.
Okay.
I will say this though, I am all about new directors taking the reins and making their career the way they want to make it. Dude, listen, I've directed 2 short films. It's not easy to direct.
Yeah.
It's not. Everybody thinks it's the easiest thing in the world. It's not. It takes a lot of work and, a lot of visual acuity and all the stuff, you know what I mean? And there's things that you can miss along the way, especially if you're not a, seasoned pro at this type of thing. So this guy's a first-time director. Yeah. But on the other coin, Mortal Kombat's already a blockbuster. Even in the time of COVID, just like King Kong or Godzilla and Kong. So, kudos to you, dude. You got a winner your first time out of the gate. There's a lot of people that love this movie. Fans really ate it up. Reviewers not so kind. Yeah. But hell, I'm happy for everybody. I hope they, have a, fulfilling, career, playing these characters, and I hope the director has a, a great future ahead of him. There's really not much else to say. It's just not for me.
I'm just hoping
to watch, but yeah.
I'm hoping that the end of this movie leads to a sequel where they search for Johnny Cage. I think that's the direction that's going. So I think that it's going to get better. They just wanted to give us a little intro, and then we'll get what we're waiting for in this movie. Yeah.
If I was going to put it on a scale of Mortal Kombat 95 and Mortal Kombat Annihilation, it's edging towards Annihilation. The problem with these, especially these fighting movies that they're making games out of and stuff, I think Sith was saying, they're putting too much in at once. We don't have to have 12 characters in a movie. You know what I mean? I get it.
Focused on a couple of them, the main ones. Focus on them, get them really solid. Revamp people into that, and then do the sequel coming in for the rest of the characters.
And also too, I think they chose a great Sonya Blade. I think she was awesome in the role.
She was amazing. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. What is your favorite video game movie that they've done? Because everything, video game, video game movies technically, they fail. You know what I mean? When it comes to box office and stuff, or, they just don't hit the mark or whatever. But, what's your favorite one that they've attempted?
Resident Evil.
The first one or the entire series?
The entire series. I mean, it's so good, and they didn't mess it up really. You know, they kept pumping out the hits. So I don't know. That's always been my favorite. And I'm not even like super into video games, but if I had to pick one, it would definitely be that.
Well, I think that's, honestly, like, guys like that, usually get, laughed at, just like, Zack Snyder has his own flair and he gets laughed at by a lot of people, which is ridiculous. But anyway, somebody like Paul W.S. Anderson, that guy, it's funny you mentioned that because the guy who did the Resident Evil series was the one that did the 95 Mortal Kombat. And, so that's kind of why it worked for me because it had his stylization.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What about you, Di?
I guess I liked Silent Hill. The second one was god awful.
It's
don't
garbage.
Watch it. Please don't watch it. But I love the first one because it was very dark and it was creepy, just like the games were.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that the sequel just stuck to that kind of.
I'm gonna agree with you and say Silent Hill, which actually just celebrated 15th anniversary, by the way. If you wanted to feel old. So that's our show, episode 11. As I said before, please like and subscribe on the Comic Book Movie YouTube channel. We'll be back next week with some more geek news, and we'll talk to you soon. From the Jedi Order, have a great night. Bye-bye.